The coloured comedy show will be taking place at the Lyric Theatre in Johannesburg after its run at the Graceland Casino in Mpumalanga. This show offers comedy from uniquely coloured perspectives and gives audiences a glimpse of what it means to be coloured in South Africa. While the cast includes an array of comedians who've performed on various platforms in the country, the audience can look forward to a family-friendly comedy event as they celebrate their 8th edition. But to tell us more, we are joined in studio by comedians Charles Ash and Charles Stolz, who are the organisers of the event. Charles and Charles, it's great to have you guys in studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Charles, let me start with you. Why did you guys decide to come up with a comedy show just, based on coloured perspectives, and why was it important to give the coloured community in comedy a voice?
Well, as you know, the SABC to this day does not have a policy on how to address the media needs of coloured people. There is no radio station for coloured people. And so there's lots of media neglect around coloured issues. And I mean, we're seeing this manifest, this anger within the coloured community manifesting itself in rage on our streets and Westbury and Ennerdale, and, the streets are ablaze. So the proudly coloured, I mean, obviously it might sound a little bit rough around the edges, that an overtly racial title like this.
Oh no, there's blacks only.
Exactly, there is blacks only. Exactly that. And this is the blacks only equivalent, for the comedy calendar. So it's just to re-articulate colouredness and give coloured people a space where they can express themselves and just take ownership over the term coloured and not allow it to be defined by anybody else. The term coloured has obviously been steeped in serious negativity, and so this is a good thing. I mean, why should people be burdened with having to embrace an identity that's just so negative? Why can't we be proudly coloured and proudly South African at the same time? These things are not mutually exclusive.
All right, so for people who absolutely enjoy comedy, they are in for a treat at this event. Tell us some of the guys that you guys have on the lineup.
On the lineup, we have Mr. Dylan Oliphant. He's from El Dorado Park. We have Mr. Prince. He's from East London. We have Mr. Charles Asher. He's from Durban.
There
we go. We have Chandre van Wyk. He's from King Williamstown. We have Daryl Williams. He's from Newlands East in Durban. We have Justin Ray. He's from Cape Town. And we have an Indian female. Her name is Shika Budu. She's also from Durban.
Having grown up in a coloured community myself, I'm from Ennerdale. Coloured comedy is very unique. Take us through some of the things that make it unique.
What makes coloured comedy unique is, firstly, we all look the same, but we have different varied colours. We have all the same social ills, but we just have different ways of expressing ourselves from Durban to Joburg to Cape Town.
I'm not sure if I agree with Mr. Stolz here that we all look the same. I mean, just look at us, ebony and ivory. Yes. I think a little bit, we got the entire spectrum here going on, my bro, but, we still both identify as coloured people. So coloured is not an identity that's about your complexion, really. It's about your cultural experience, in that heterogeneous, mixed environment where you're growing up with influences from your black family and white and Afrikaans and Indian and whatever. And so it's this melting pot, this cultural melting pot that manifests itself in very quirky things, and that comedians speak about it, and that's what the show will be about. A lot of coloured people, coloured comedians zoning in on some funny elements, in the community. And obviously there are lots of overlap. There's lots of overlap. I mean, it's not going to be only about coloured people and everybody in the audience is going to feel alienated. I mean, the coloured experience is the black experience for the most part. It does have its unique quirks that, we going to make serious jokes about.
And because of that mix, because of what you just described, that, there's influences from black family members, relatives, Indians, other coloureds, there tend to be quite a number of misconceptions around coloured people. What would you say are some of those misconceptions that you'd like to dispel?
I think, uniquely, the coloured community is considered so negatively is because there's no media. So there's no mechanism or means or tools available for the colored community to re-articulate what the identity stands for. So when a negative story hits the media about criminality, gangsterism, drugs, or whatever, it's not like the colored community can mount a response, say, no, look here, we're not just about drugs and violence, we're also about sports, and we're also about academics, and we're also about business and entrepreneurship. So the lack of media does allow these negative stereotypes to take hold and become the only archetypal view that people and that the broader public have of the colored community. And so it's important that for shows like this, they come out and speak about the colored identity from a different perspective and allow the colored people themselves, the people who bear the identity or who embrace the identity, to be able to speak about what coloredness is. And the colored identity is a very rich expression of what it's like to be South Africa. It's not siloed into any particular black or white. It's actually all that makes us South Africa. It tells the tale of our colonial history and the slavery and the violence and the conquest and the apartheid and the oppression and all of that. And that story is told in the colored experience. And so it does give comedians a large list of topics to choose from. And yeah, you're gonna find that all discussed at the comedy show.
All right. Speaking of topics, that will be discussed via the comedy, Charles, take us through some of the topics or themes that you like to follow in your comedy. Do you touch a lot on race? Do you touch a lot on gangsterism? What are some of the subjects that you like to explore through your comedy?
Firstly, it's mostly breaking down stereotypes. Okay, and Charles being one of the comedians, Charles, I'm the brain behind the whole thing. So, Charles, you tell us, what is it that you like to touch on?
Gangsterism, violence, prison, drugs. There's lots. I mean, I don't want to give a whole show away, but I mean, each comedian, because they come from different parts of the country, they have a slightly different experience of what the colored identity is. Not a monolithic identity that all colored people are exactly the same across the country. No, it manifests itself differently based on the colonial influences, based on the region that a person comes from. So somebody from KZN like myself, I don't speak Afrikaans, so I struggle with Afrikaans.
And you also have that Durban accent.
I got the Durban accent, you know what I'm saying? So,
of course.
So, and likewise, you got people from East London who got their cultural nuances, and people from Cape Town and Johannesburg.
Indeed.
So it's not just a monolithic thing. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. It's been such a great pleasure having you gentlemen on the show.
Thank you.
All the best in all the comedy show, and we certainly look forward to coming through.
The show's so tomorrow, eh? Tomorrow, Saturday. At 3 p.m. at Lyric Theatre.
All right, do make your way to the Lyric Theatre at Gold City. 3 o'clock, the comedy show will get underway. There was comedians Charles Ash and Charles Strauss talking to us about the proudly coloured comedy show that will be taking place, as they said, at the Lyric Theatre.